today you are going to talk about past events. Okay, so as a teacher, that's my goal, talking about past events. Right? Did I say you're going to identify the simple past? You're going to use the simple past? Not yet. Okay, my target. This is task-based. Your task is to talk about past events. Alright, now before we talk about past events, of course I'll tell you a story and then I'll make you share past events. But before that, in the story that I will tell you, there are words in the song that you're going to listen to, because you're going to listen to also to a song. There are words that might be difficult for you, or this might be the first time you were listening to these words. What do you think is that word?
Bird.
The word? What is the bird doing?
Thinking.
Thinking. Okay, thinking. And how did you know that it's a word? Because there are clues. Okay. What's the bird doing? Looking. Okay. How did you know that the verb is looking? Because of the magnifying. Okay, good. Yeah. Now, if there's a tiny hole, that's not looking. It's called peeking. Peeking. There's an opening and you look through it. That's peeking. Good. Peeking. Now, this is a type of a kind of tree. What is that?
Palm trees.
Palm. It's a palm tree or many. So palm trees. Now I have a phrase. The next is a phrase. Okay. You have a clue. The words are falling down. So the phrase is fall in love. Okay, now you will hear these words in the song that you will listen to. But before the song, let me tell you a story of a bird named Blue. Blue, okay, yeah, Blue is a macaw. Let's repeat, macaw. Macaw. All right. And then he was smuggled. What does smuggled mean? Illegally. Okay, brought to a place. So he was smuggled from Rio, from Brazil, to the U.S. And then while he was inside the cage, his cage fell off. And then he was taken by a bookshop owner named Linda. He grew up in a bookshop, so Blue could not fly. And then years passed. There's this bird expert who came to Linda and asked Linda if he could bring Blue to Rio because there's a female macaw, the last of the species. Okay, what does species mean? The type of animal. Okay, so macaw is a species. Species is what you use both for singular and plural. Okay. Okay. It doesn't mean species for singular. No, it's species with S for both singular and plural. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. Now, side comment as a teacher, as a trainer. What I have just done, it's not, species is not my lesson, but I addressed it. It's called, what kind of teaching is that called? My lesson is called intentional teaching. Very good. It's called incidental teaching. Research shows that you have to use both intentional and incidental teaching and learning in your classes. Okay? Now, let's continue the story. So, Blue was brought to Rio where he met Jewel. Because of a turn of events, Blue and Jewel were actually captured by smugglers.
Really?
Again, smugglers again. And then they were trying to escape from their captors. Jewel was able to break away. And then Blue was still inside because he could not fly. inside the cage because he could not fly. Well, Jewel was flying, and Blue was looking at Jewel. Blue felt something wonderful. And what is that feeling? The feeling of falling in love with a female bird who can fly. Yeah, that's a wonderful feeling. That's a wonderful feeling. Now, tell me something wonderful that you feel, that you think is wonderful about your life right now. Can you share? You're a student.
Oh, the birthday party
Birthday party.
of my cousin.
Wow.
So it was really it was really a very happy party.
Yes, it's
So I felt so wonderful.
wonderful about it. Good, good.
For me, the last day of my class is October 18, and that's also my birthday. So
Wow.
when that day I was like I didn't want to leave the school because it's the last day of regular class, and I posted a message on Facebook that the best gift so far is that the last day, it's the vacation throughout your life.
Yeah, it's your one grand vacation after the last day.
For me, being here right now, learning something new.
Wow.
I'm in awe.
You're in awe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teacher Jen.
For me, it's finding something that I thought I lost for a long, long time.
Oh, is it your heart?
Is it true love? Okay, good.
Your heart is the love.
All right.
My Spanish.
That's yours. All right. So, as a teacher now, as a trainer, this is my comment or my reminder to you. So this part now, the first part is called unlocking of difficulty. Okay, the students are going to listen to a song. That's
Okay.
language input. Okay?
Including the story, ma'am.
Yes, you have to.
That's also
input. So you have to prepare them to concepts and words that are not familiar with them, okay, or to them, or they're not familiar with. Now, this one, wonderful. You can have them go to the front and then write words, concepts that are wonderful for them. And this technique is called semantic webbing. Okay, so we have now a series of input tasks, and that's one characteristic of task-based language teaching. You have a series of input tasks, and then before the main task, you are preparing the students for through the vocabulary activity, unlocking of difficulty. Okay, now, so teacher mode. Now, class, you're going to listen to a song. Okay, the song tells us about that wonderful moment when Blue felt something wonderful for Jewel. Okay. Now, what will the students do while they're listening to the song? This could be one option. They could answer a listening close activity. Okay, you have blanks. They fill in the blanks.
Incidental.
Right? So this one here is an example of a closed test. Okay. How many, after how many words should you have a blank? For grade 4 and below students, okay, 5. Okay, 5. Because they need more clues. Okay. No, grade 4 and above 5. For grade 4 and below 7. Because they need more clues, more words. All right. For intermediate,
Sorry. For and
grade 4 and above, only 5.
5.
Okay. Okay. After 5, every 5th word. You remove every 5th word. For grade 4 and below, since these students need more words, That's you remove the seventh word, every seventh word. Okay. So and then while listening, they can answer a listening closed activity. Now, this itself can be one task, one lesson, the listening activity. All right. But what I'm showing you now is how you can design a task-based lesson from listening, vocabulary, listening, input to output, speaking.
We're still in pre-task.
We're still in pre-task. But like I said, that in itself can be a task. You just have to prepare the students for it. Right? If your target is to improve their listening comprehension, then that can be your main task. Okay. So after listening to, so you listen to the song.
Wasn't really thinking, wasn't looking, wasn't searching for an answer. In the moonlight, when I saw your face.
After listening to the song, okay, you process, of course, the listening activity. You ask them comprehension questions. You know, the basic questions, who, what, when, where. Okay, and then, but like I said, if your objective for the day or for the week is to improve their listening skills, of course you have to spend more time on that. Okay.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
How many times do we need to let them listen to the song?
Ideally, Helgesen in his book says that in practical language in the practical language teaching series by Oxford, he says that ideally from listening you move the students to speaking. So always, you should always have a listening activity before speaking. That's just a suggestion. But experts also say, like Rod Ellis, he also says that from input, language input, you move the students to output. So listening is an input, and then you make them speak. So that is just logical, isn't it? It's just
Yes.
it's just logical. You expose the students to language input so that they have a basis or exposure for their production. Right? So maybe what we lack these days, what we lack is the exposure to language. Remember, our field is second language acquisition. Students acquire the language by being exposed to it. So imagine if we just expose our students to listening, a very good listening, compelling, listening tasks every day. They would be able to subconsciously acquire English. Okay, now let's. So after listening to the song and talking about it, all right. Now class, remember at the start of the lesson, I told you that you're going to talk about past events. Okay. Now this activity will make you talk about past events. This activity is called one morning, one day, or one night. You choose whether you want to recall that past event that happened in the morning, day, or during the night. Okay, so think of a moment in the past when you saw or experienced something wonderful. Okay, now you have to form a group of 4 students each. Share your wonderful moment with a group, and then choose one moment to act out in front. All right, all right. So you have the chance to share, and then choose one moment that you want to act out in front of the whole class. Okay, now some members will be acting while some will be talking about a moment like a flashback in a movie. Okay, now this is my example. One day, I was waiting for a call from my group mates. I was sitting at the living room when I heard a knock at the door. I went to the door and opened it. To my surprise, my sister from California was there. We were chatting and talking the whole afternoon. We were enjoying and sharing stories when our 2 other sisters arrived from work, and they were surprised too. Okay? Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now, here's my reminder as a trainer now. You notice here that I haven't taught the verbs yet.
Yes.
Okay? But what verb forms can you see here? Past progressive, very good. And simple past. Okay? That's the target language point. Okay, but I want, because we are using task-based, we're applying task-based language teaching, we focus on the meaning. We want our students to share past events. And then later, we'll call their attention to the forms. This is called input flagging. Flooding, you flood them with input, grammar, and then you're flagging them. It's called the F on F technique by Doughty and Williams. Flood them with input,
And then
flag the input, highlight the input without teaching it yet. All right? And then you make them follow this. It's these expressions. They could use this as the template. Okay? Now they will speak. All right? Okay, now let me go back to the parts of pre-task. It's a full-blown lesson. Okay? So for the pre-task, we have, please read.
Unlocking of difficulties using picture, letter cues, and storytelling.
Remember?
Yes.
So, and then you remember that activity? It's good because there's picture, visual, and then there's storytelling. We unlock the story. It's thematic. The whole lesson is thematic. It's a story about birds that are going to be in danger of extinction, right? And then motivation was a word map or semantic webbing. The students were able to share personal stories about what they think. Not stories yet, because the story came at the end. Their concept of what is wonderful. Now, in the wild task, they will now share wonderful moments. And the happiness idea here, remember yesterday I told you that we integrate positive psychology ideas. It's MBE, Mind, Brain, and Education Science. So we want our students to remember good things in their lives. Okay? And then they act out the scenes. What's the function here? Narrating or talking about past events. That's the use of the language, our focus. And then the grammar form, of course we have to have a grammar form, is the past progressive and the simple past. And the post-task is, of course, for the students to act out in front. Okay? And then after that, the teacher will give feedback on the students' pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. This is now the intentional teaching of grammar. You are prepared with your slides on past, progressive, and then simple past. But before that, make sure that you take down notes on what the student said. Right? So you have, you can inductively teach grammar. A while ago you said, I was waiting for my sister when my mother came home. So you underline, call their attention. Okay, what do we have here? Was waiting. So this is now the teaching of grammar. Was waiting. Was is a past, in the past. And then you have an ing here. Okay? And then what's better is that you link the past, the previous lesson. Remember we studied about present progressive, is plus ing. This one here is also progressive, but the action was happening in the past. So we call it the, what do we call it? Past progressive. Okay, good. Now, if an action is happening in the past and then it was interrupted by another action, I was waiting for my sister when my mother arrived. Okay, you use the, while waiting, during the duration of the waiting for your sister, something happened. While waiting, in that action, use the past progressive, and then for the action that interrupted that action, use the simple past. So this is what you teach the kids. In task-based, they have the chance to speak. they have the chance to learn grammar. Okay? But there are, of course, many types of task-based. Some proponents believe that you have to pre-teach grammar, and the task comes as a production task, like PPP at the end. While some believe that you have to have a production task and then give grammar as a feedback. While some believe in both. Sometimes you have to pre-teach, sometimes you have to teach grammar after. Now, we have to be flexible in teaching grammar. If your students need the grammar initially, you think they will find it difficult to speak without the grammar, then pre-teach grammar. Okay, we have to be flexible teachers. Yes. Okay, and then after that, you have an option for task repetition. Give the students the same task, okay, but of course with a different topic, or same theme but different topic, okay, not necessarily the same task. And then you can have reinforcement activities, like you can have grammar exercises if they scored low in their grammar test, and then you can give them a writing activity, perhaps a journal writing activity. Okay, now let me just share with you some pictures. This was used, the activity, the whole activity, the full-blown lesson on task-based, the same lesson I demonstrated, was used in a Vietnamese classroom. And look at the students. Look at the students. So it's a success story as applied in a primary Vietnamese classroom. So this is the one narrating the story, the wonderful moment in her life, and the other classmates are acting out her story. And then look at them. Are they enjoying? Yes, they are enjoying. And look at the classmates.
Happy.
They were happy. That's right, they were happy. So, like I said, you have to contextualize the task-based lessons, okay? And you have to consider your objectives based on your school's curriculum, all right? So, if your goal is speaking, then you have to design task-based lessons that aim for speaking, but you can't develop conversational English or speaking skills if you prioritize grammar. You should prioritize meaning, the function of English, but you don't forget grammar. Because if your students don't learn grammar, you combine here acquisition and learning, all right? If they don't learn grammar, then they will think that what they're saying is correct, even if it's not, even if they're wrong. And then Noonan reminds us that, you know, your students will have a pigeon type of English. Like they say, she don't, he don't. They would think it's right. Yes, even if it's wrong. So the pigeon is a group of people have a group of people has developed a certain type of language, and they think it's correct because they're using it. But language is arbitrary, right?
It changes.
Yeah, it changes. But of course, as teachers, we have to reinforce correct grammar for our students. So task-based is a type of approach or method that prioritizes meaning, communication skills, and then grammar, because grammar is part of communication skills. All right.